Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Time Out with Derek and Joe. For Joe Azalina, I'm Derek Gano. Thank you for taking time out of your day to spend some time with us. And the baseball season has officially started for Time Out, so we're going to bring it with a top five list, Joe.
Yeah, we're gonna talk today about the top five current starting pitchers. I have 8, you have 7. We're gonna do this here on February the 12th in hopes of warm weather following this, Derek.
Would be
Because
nice.
we're not seeing that. It was 8 degrees last night as I opened my back door, and I'm like, this is ridiculous. But yeah, they're starting. I know the Phillies truck ended up in Clearwater the other day. I'm sure a lot of other teams' trucks ended up where they need to be in Florida or Arizona. But it's great to hear. It's great to hear there'll be some fans in the stands. And yeah, that's what we're doing today. The top 5 current starting pitchers and a couple honorable mentions to go with it. So without further ado, if you don't have anything else, I'll go to my number 8.
And just real quick, and we actually are going to be going through the entire MO or the entire diamond, I should say. We already talked about shortstops when the Francisco Lindor trade went through, but um, we will be starting with pitcher, then going to catcher, first base, second base, all the way through, and probably going a little after the season, honestly, but. We'll start here with starting pitchers. And just a brief before Joe gets started. This is a similar thing to what we did for the shortstops. Just a bunch of the important stats I kind of threw together in order for you to see. And we're actually going to put this up on as a link um, to the video, so you can look at this if you so wish. Um, 20 of it technically went by WAR, which is wins above replacement. For those that don't know, that's so if you were to bring up a minor leaguer or bring someone off free agency, these guys are that many will bring you this many wins um over that other random guy, is where they get that number. Well, how they calculate that number, I have zero idea. But um so we have obviously the name of 20 top 20 pitchers here by WAR, the age, team. um Now this is over the 2019 and 2020 seasons, because since 2020 was only 60 games, so we put both in there. Wins, losses, games and games started, quality starts. Quality start, for those that don't know, is pitching 6+ innings and allowing 3 or less earned runs. Complete game, a shutout, innings pitched, Ks per nine innings, walks per 9 innings, home runs per 9 innings, RS per 9 here. That's runs scored per 9 innings by the pitcher's team. So that's how much run support that per 9 innings that this pitcher is getting. ERA, earned run average per 9 innings. WHIP is walks or hits per 1 inning pitched. We mentioned WAR, Cy Young awards, obviously the top award given out to a pitcher. And then we have team win-loss record when this person pitches over the last 2 seasons. Again, this is based on 2019 and 2020. And then just a quick note that you can see Justin Verlander and Steven Strasberg, they're pretty much all of their 2019 stats, because both of which pitched one start and then were knocked out of the 2020 season. So, and then we have the top 2 highlighted in yellow in each category. So, Joe, there you go. There's the big spiel. You go ahead with your top 5 plus honorable mentions.
So my number 8, an honorable mention, wears the same number actually as his age. He's 27 years old and he wears number 27. Right-hander from the Philadelphia Phillies would be Aaron Nola. I had to do it. He's been the ace of the staff now for the last 5 years, even with Zach Wheeler coming on board. Pretty durable guy. He was 17 and 12, combining 19 and 20. It looks like he threw in 46 games. Had that same amount of quality starts, and he threw him almost 300 innings. What's impressive about Nola, though, is, and this isn't something that's going to come out on stats, but he gets ahead. When he gets ahead, he buries hitters. He throws a changeup and a curveball. He was a third in Cy Young voting in 2018. In last year's shortened season, he had a 3.28 ERA. Some would say high, but the Phillies didn't always hit for him. 49.8% ground ball rate. That really stood out at me. And, I don't know. I needed to have him on the list, and I just figured he'd slot right in there at number 8. So
Now, and I may know the answer already, I see that the team is 23 and 23 when he pitches. Would you blame that on the bullpen, Joe? Is that the reason for most of it?
last year, yes. I think also sometimes when you have a guy out there that dominates, and Nola has been able to dominate at times, you don't hit for him. You save the bats sometimes, right? You don't think you might need score 2 runs. Like we'll talk about DeGrom, I'm sure, a lot later. This is kind of what Nola does, though. He can get you 7 innings and give up a run or 2. My only thing about Aaron Nola is, and this is why I can never put him down below anywhere, he gives up the home run way too much. He gives up that 1-2 home run, or he'll give up that even 0-2 home run. And it makes you just like cringe because you want to get that guy out in that count. But no, to me, and I think a lot of my fellow friends and family members would not be shocked that I picked up on Aaron Nola at number 8. So I'll be a homer for that, but there's no more Phillies on my list. So number 7, Derek, is somebody that I think people might be surprised I put there. And this is a guy that has come on the scene in Milwaukee, Brandon Woodruff. I'm looking to see, he's down at the bottom here, 27 years old, 14 and 8 in the last 2 years. Good quality starts, a 16, maybe not as high as you'd like. 200 innings pitched, though. Go back to the durability. Not really highlighted at all, but man, home runs per 9, 0.97. It's really not bad. That's coming in behind Ryu and Gray, if you want to get technical here. And also, of course, Zach Greinke, he's one of the best in the business. And DeGrom. But anyway, he's a guy that could come out and pitch with some of these guys. I wouldn't be shocked about it. Big righty, 73.2 innings in 20. Flies under the radar, I keep saying, and he is the ace of his team, which isn't hard because Milwaukee doesn't have many guys. But I like Brandon Woodruff. Any thoughts about Brandon Woodruff, Derek?
I don't think you can look too much at his stats yet because he really only came onto the scene in not even the full season of 2019. So, but he was an all-star in 2019, 11 and 3. And then he pitched pretty well, even better actually, last year in terms of ERA. If you look at ERA, he was 3.05 compared to 3.6 in 2019, but he just didn't get the run support. You see he's at 5.02 runs per 9 innings. He just and is he going to get it this year? I guess we'll have to see. I don't think anyone in the Central is amazingly strong, but interesting pick, Joe. I thought with all these other big arms out there, and we went with Brandon Woodruff. But hey, maybe this year he might be take a next step and become one of the best pitchers in the NL. Never know.
Well, Derek, if you thought number 7 was interesting, I come out with a doozy for number 6, and that is Herman Marquez, and he's the Rockies ace, the right-hander. If you look at the graphic we have here today, he's 25 years old, so he's young. 16-11 last 2 years. You know what jumped out at me though? He threw as almost in more innings as guys like Sonny Gray, Kyle Hendricks, Trevor Bauer. Like he's throwing a lot of games, and he hasn't done. He's pretty good. Like almost 300 innings pitched last season, or should say 19 and 20. His ball to 9. What is that? Kada strikeout rate at about 1084 is a little high, but it's not. It's still below Bauer. I mean, that just shocks me. And now that I look at it, he's actually at 2.11. I had the wrong. Sorry, read the wrong name there. I don't know. Herman Marquez to me is just one of those guys. He is a top starter. He is 25, but he struck out 405 guys over 2 seasons. I don't know if you could ask that trivia question and you get him as an answer. I mean, you probably get a lot of answers, but Herman Marquez is a power guy. He had a 1.87 ERA in the short season last year. So maybe it's just depending on what he can do in the 162 game season we're about to embark on this season.
So it was really 2018 actually that he had his best year. It looks like 196 innings, which is for those that don't know, Colorado, where he pitches, is a very tough place to pitch. That's why you'll see the 4.44 ERA here is high, but he gets run support and he's going to get some wins out there as long as you get the quality starts, which you probably like to see a little bit more out of him in terms of the quality starts. But
right, they're 24-17 with them too. The Rockies.
I'd be interested to see what happens if he were to leave there, but you also see the home runs per 9 is pretty high. So if he can keep the ball in the yard, and I mean, it's tough to pitch in Colorado. So I'm interested. I'd be interested to see his split stats, his road stats, how he is on the road. But another interesting pick, Joe, when it comes to a top 5 list.
And we're going to go with number 5, which is also another interesting list, another name, but he's on the graphic. I saw him. He is a 27-year-old right-hander from the Cincinnati Reds, and that's Luis Castillo. A lot of rumors about him leaving Cincinnati. The Yankees were after him, and that tells you something. 226 Ks, nasty changeup. He did that in 19. He's expected to have an ERA of 1.74 based on the quality of contact he has allowed. That's really low. Excuse me. The bottom line is with Castillo, he is a power guy, I think, more or less. But if you look at his, he had 27 quality starts. I mean, that's a lot. Complete game, he had 1. You look at the home runs per 9, 0.93. Again, that's behind Ryu and Wheeler. A little bit below Verlander, which is impressive. I don't know. I like Luis Castillo. He's a young guy. He'll get better. And I'll be honest, I'm going to make a prediction right now here in the timeout that I believe that he's not a Red for too much longer, Derek. I think somebody else goes and gets him. It better not be the Padres because I'm sick of seeing it.
I know there were rumors. I don't know if it was the Yankees. I'm not 100%. Was that who it was?
Yeah, they were thinking about Torres. They wanted Torres for him.
And obviously, no. And obviously the Reds didn't get as much as they wanted. I'm not sure where the Reds are going. They obviously let Bauer walk. Had really no intentions of signing him. They let the closer go. Name is slipping me right now.
Phillies closer Archie Bradley.
Bradley. Iglesias they traded away. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
did they just sign Doolittle though? They just signed Sean Doolittle.
Yes. But Luis Castillo. The only problem with Luis Castillo is you'll see that he does walk a lot of guys. He lets a lot of people on base, and that gets to be a little tricky. But he has great stuff. Really well, no, that his is the 1.17. That's a little higher.
Well, yeah. If you look at that,
yeah. At 27, it'd be interesting. I don't know if he's going to get much better, but he has powerful stuff is the thing. So sometimes he's going to overthrow a little bit, but he's probably the ace of the staff, right? Co-ace right now with Sonny Gray, I would say.
I think I had a theme, Derek. Woodruff, Marquez, Castillo, upside. I think that was my theme.
Yeah, that's for sure.
So number 4 is not upside guy. This is a guy that I think a lot of people would have had my head on a silver platter if I did not have him on the list. And it's Trevor Bauer. And what a year he had last year. Now he's an LA Dodger. Debut with the Reds, 13 strikeouts. That's nothing to sneeze about. Pitched great in Cleveland, but he was behind Bieber and he was behind Carrasco at the time even. And he was also behind Clevenger, I think, at that time also. 29 years old. 7-run, 2-hit shutout in his last outing, and 0.68 ERA. And if we delve into the graphic again, well, I'm finding him. There he is. 3 complete games. That's the best on the list, except for Bieber. If you look at it, 3 shutouts. He can do that to you. I think Trevor Bauer is one of those guys that, I mean, pressure is off now. I mean, the contract is something, but Buehler and Kershaw, come on. Like, he can fit in there nicely as the 3 there, or 2. I guess it could be a 2, but it will be interesting to see him against tough lineups, though. The teams he's never seen, the Mets, the Phillies, the Braves, even Washington with Soto there. And then, of course, the San Diego Padres. Derek, I don't know. This is going to be his time. I mean, if he can pitch well in the LA and they win a World Series with him in the next 3 years, he can still have another contract. He's only 28 years old. He'll only be 31 at that time. So, thoughts on Bauer?
My opinion is, Joe, I think he struggles. In Los Angeles. You see the ERA is a 3.78. That's with, what did he have? I'm almost at his page here. 1.73 ERA he had this year. And obviously won the Cy Young. So that means last year he was around, a 5 ERA almost when he played between Cleveland and Cincinnati. 2018, he was an all-star, 2.21. And every year before that, he was above a 4 ERA. I think he's too streaky, is the problem. And I do agree, playing in a division with the Cubs, who were not hitting very well for a while last season, and Pittsburgh, and the Brewers were a little down last year. So I think he may struggle a little bit this year, but there's no denying that he's a great pitcher. You don't win the Cy Young being an average pitcher, but Trevor Bauer, yeah, that's another good option, I would say.
So number 3 is also one of his former teammates in Shane Bieber. Now the ace there without Carrasco and Bauer. He's kind of the guy. 24 years old. An impressive 23 wins in the last 2 years. 46 games pitched. 34 quality starts. That's amazing. 3 complete games. And he's done some really interesting things. He's also got a Cy Young in his early career. I just said that he, in modern history, back-to-back 13 plus strikeout games to open the season. That shows you what kind of stuff this kid has. And an 0.9, or I'm sorry, I'm looking at Cole, my bad. A one whip. Now, come on. That's still ridiculous. I mean, I haven't seen him a lot, to be honest with you, but I know how good he is. And I had to put him at 3, and I think deservedly so that he should be in the top 5. He's a heck of a pitcher.
Yeah, it looks like he's probably shows up second, right, in terms of how many top 2 spots he is in this entire graphic. So, yeah, and now that playoff performance People are going to look at that against the Yankees. But so maybe until he shows it in the playoffs a little bit, like Clayton Kershaw hadn't for so long, maybe people will wonder. But he's got the best stats, some of the best stats out there. So no denying the
Yep.
talent for Shane Bieber, that's for sure.
Number 2 is the UCLA guy, the guy that got drafted by the Pittsburgh Pirates. And I never told you, Derek, but I actually got to see him throw at Coca-Cola Park. I went as a fan. I worked there for 2 years, but I went as a fan that night, and I saw him pitch against the Iron Pigs. And this would be right-handed pitcher for the New York Yankees, Garrett Cole. And that's when he was in Pittsburgh, of course. So that's why I said that in the organization of the Pirates, I got to see him pitch at Coca-Cola Park when he was young. Garrett Cole is probably one of the most recognizable names now to baseball fans over the past 5 years. He's done things already in his young career, only 29 years old, 27 wins, 8 losses in 2 years, 40 quality starts. I literally almost put him at 1, but we'll see why I didn't. K per 9, 13.25. Like, that's really impressive. That leads these 20 pitchers. And I just have to say that if I'm looking for someone to come out and start a game in a big game, if it's not him, it'll be my number 1 guy. I mean, this guy is unbelievable. 34-11 as a Yankee. The Yankees winning as him on the mound as a team, but also he won a World Series in Houston. So been there, done that in 2.55 ERA, 16 strikeouts, and he won his last 19 decisions. So I don't know what else you can say about my number 2 guy, but Garrett Cole is pretty darn good.
Yeah, I'll talk about him in a little bit. You can you can just move on.
Yeah. All right. So that's a spoiler. Number 1 is Jacob Degrom from the New York Mets, 32 years of age. When you look at his win-loss, not good. The Mets haven't been that good. We'll see that turn around probably this year. 15-10, 44 games pitched, 2 years. The ERA jumps out of me at 2.42. The WAR's a 9, which is unbelievable. And he's won 2 Cy Youngs. I mean, come on. Derek, 2 years ago, I said Aaron Nola's got no chance because DeGrom's numbers are so filthy. So this guy, if you want to see a pitcher throw, he just knows how to pitch the baseball. 2.12 ERA, 22 strikeouts in his first 3 starts at 20. And he can throw up to 100 miles an hour, Derek. So that's a little ridiculous. I love him. He's not a Philly, but I love him. Jacob Degrom is my number 1.
So if we think about it like this, I don't know if you mentioned, Joe, but we're kind of thinking of it as if you have 1 start, this is the guy you want to go with. And so Jacob Degrom is a great option. I'm sure in some capacity, those top 3, it would be all it would be an interesting pick between the 3 of them. I would say Bieber, Cole, and Degrom for most people. Right. So, well, that'll do it for Joe. I did tell him I have only 3 that he has. So we do have a little bit of a different list. I'll ask him about my different options. He already talked about the 3 of them, obviously. But so I have 7. My 2 honorable mentions. I'm going to start here. I told Joe I only kind of waited till the very end for this one, but maybe on the line of potential that Joe is talking about. I went with Lucas Giolito is my first honorable mention. You see the potential ability. You see the most complete games over the past 2 seasons, tied for the most shutouts with 3. And they don't score very much for him. So
that will change.
He's 18-12 without the lowest run support of all these pitchers in 4.16 runs scored per game. So, like Joe said, you're going to see that change. They're going to be pretty strong this year, the White Sox, and Giolito is potentially the ace there. When he's really going, Giolito really has the stuff to strike you out and to not let you on base. You see his whip is pretty low as well. So that was my first honorable mention. Lucas Giolito could potentially make that jump this year to the tippy top.
Derek, offense will be better this year.
Oh yeah.
When we preview the AL Central, we're going to talk about the White Sox in a big way. Tony La Russa, manager. Adam Eaton came in, right fielder. Luis Robert had a big year last year. I didn't know much about him. And then they have what's his name, Jimenez. They just have a lot of Tim Anderson. They just have a lot of really good players. They got to put it all together. But La Russa's the perfect guy for that. So. But anyway, that I just wanted to touch on that, and yeah, Giolito's really good arm. I like him a lot. I'm not gonna bust you about that pick at all.
Including, I believe he was the only no hitter last year as well. So
that was fun to watch too.
Yes, very good. Unfortunately, the Nationals are sad about letting him go a few years ago. But the other honorable mention, okay. I know he's 31 years old, and he only finally showed that he can pitch in the playoffs. But there is no denying that Clayton Kershaw is someone that you want on the mound in during the season, at least. He finally just showed that he could pitch well in the playoffs. But you see the 22-7 record, he's always out there. 38 the 39 games started. 32 of the 39 games, Joe, were quality starts. So you know what you're going to get out there, Clayton Kershaw. He's not going to get blown up when he gets out there. But they also, being on the Dodgers, they're going to score for him. You see the 6.88 runs scored a game. But here's the big stat for me right here, Joe. 3 Cy Young awards, including 1 MVP. And they win games when he's out there on the mound. 2019 and 2020, he was 30. They were 30-9, the records. And not to mention, also, he finished second in Cy Young once, third in Cy Young once. Second twice, actually, third once. He finished fifth. He finished eighth one year. He finished ninth one year. Clayton Kershaw is still one of the best, and you can in the game you can still see that curving, large curveball when you see him pitching every 5 days.
Just a winner. He just wins games, and he's a leader, and he's kind of what you think about when you think of the Dodgers. Even at 31 years old, he's been a Dodger his whole career now. So yeah, I have. And you know what? Even though this is probably for nothing, just because we don't get into off the field, but he is a great guy, a husband, a father, and also really good into like, I think he adopted a child. Just very like humanitarian. He's a guy you want to root for, Clayton Kershaw. So good pick, Derek.
So this may be a little low for most people, but Shane Bieber is actually my number 5. And it's more because I want to see it. I kind of mentioned to Joe about he got blown up in the one game against the Yankees in the 2020 postseason. But there was no denying that he was one of the best pitchers in the game. He won the Cy Young with a 1.63 ERA last year. And you see he's pitching the most in the league. 46 games he pitched at 20 or 24 years old, 23 wins, 23 out of 46. He's winning half the games. And then the record themselves, 31-15, that shows that they're winning when he goes out there on the mound. Be interested to see. The Indians are probably I would probably still say maybe middle of the division, but they're definitely not at the top of the division. I think the White Sox and the Twins are both pretty significantly better than the Indians. So I'd be interested to see where his numbers go. Do they stick around that 2.84 ERA or do they go up a little more? But until I see it against the big teams and in the big spots, I'm going to keep Shane Bieber at number 5. You already mentioned Bieber. Do you have any other thoughts, Joe?
No, I agree with you actually. Even though I put him a little lower than you, I still think he needs to prove himself. He's not like some of these other veterans that have done it for many years. So he's young and but I'll tell you, the Indians aren't a bad team. And if they can get some pieces next year, this year they're going to be a little hurting, I think, with letting Santana go and, some pieces that had left.
Lindor,
but yeah, thank you. Yeah, exactly. Another one. And Lindor, of course. But yeah, so no, Bieber's really good. So I'm excited to see now, Derek, who you have at number 4.
So I will tell you, we seemed to disagree on this one, but and maybe it's because you're scared of his 2 different eye colors. But
no, it is.
I have Max Scherzer is still my number 4. Joe, that Ks per 9, 12.58 is still one of the best in the league. Number 2, in fact, over the past 2 years. You see the 3 Cy Youngs. He's coming second once. He's coming third once. He's coming fifth the past in twice. Now, last year was a little iffy. You mentioned about off air about his injuries, and he was a little injured. I mean, but I think he still goes out there is the thing. He still gets
he's
the
competitive.
starts. Like
he's
he's thrown upwards of 30 games all the way since 2011. Well, not including the shortened season last year, but yeah, exactly. He's going to go out there. He's talk about an overthrower. He's the definition.
Oh my God. Bulldog.
Yeah. 300 strikeouts in 2018. He's still someone who I want out there on the mound in a key spot and is someone who's going to really rally the team up. And so Max Scherzer is my number 4.
I hate seeing him 19 times. I'm going to be honest with you. I hate seeing him all times I have to see him. Because remember, he was a Tiger and a Diamondback. He wasn't always a National. So when they got him, I'm like, oh boy, here we go. So it was like Washington trying to recreate what the Phillies did in, the run there. But yeah, Max Scherzer's a great pitcher, though. I guarantee he's on a lot of people's lists, and I probably should have had him on mine, but I just don't like his durability sometimes. But you're right. He's a gamer, though. He'll go out there.
Yeah, I would have to imagine 35 years old, we might start to see the decline a little bit, but
I'd hope so, Derek.
For now, I'm still counting on him now.
Yeah, he's really good.
So number 3 is the last one who is not on your list. I mentioned but he had one start last year. He pitched very well against the Mariners and then dropped out. And that was Justin Verlander.
Okay.
Justin Verlander doesn't lose games, Joe. He's 22. No. Well, these are pretty much 2019 stats. 22-6. Right. 35 starts. It would have been 34 starts. 29 out of 34 starts were quality starts. He's not going to give up the runs. You see the 12 Ks per 9, even at 37 years old, the 0.08 whip. He only lets a runner on every inning, 0.08. Not even one per inning does he let on, and not many pitchers could say that. Oh, by the way, he also won an MVP award, which is not very heard of for starting pitchers. Granted, that was back in 2011, yes, but
wasn't he on the same staff with Scherzer too? In Detroit?
Yes, yeah, in Detroit.
They were. That's ridiculous. And David Price. What a staff they had there. Oh my gosh. Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So just as early as as far as last year, 300 2019, 300 strikeouts, He finished 11th in the MVP voting, won the Cy Young in 2019. So Verlander, though 37, is still someone I'm throwing out there when it comes to I need a big win.
And married to one of the most beautiful women ever.
Well, yeah.
Just, I mean, that's not Kate Upton, just a shout out there for Justin Verlander. He didn't do bad in that department either. What a stud, Derek. What a stud.
Now, number 2, obviously, so we have these two, but I believe we have them flipped. My number 2 is Jacob Degrom. Well, I mean, what is there to say, Joe?
He's ridiculous.
He's pretty much he's at a 2.61 ERA throughout his career. 2.42 in the past 2 years. A whip of under 1. They don't score for him. You see the 4.6. I can't imagine how that affects your psyche a little bit. How, you're just continuing to mow people down, and it's 0-0.
Remember the hairstyle? Do you remember
What's
the
that?
haircut he used to have? Remember how his hair used to be all long? And I thought to myself, this guy just doesn't give any, what. Like he could care less what people think. And he just went out there and fired. And now the hair is short. And he's the same guy. He's the exact same guy.
Now he's almost the polar opposite of someone like Max Scherzer, who goes out there pumping his fists and is, but DeGrom is very, laid back. I'm just gonna get you out, and
anyway,
that's what my talking is gonna be. But yeah, I can't imagine having to go out there and just 0-0, 0-0, 1-1. And you give up a homer and you lose the game. So that's why I was kind of shocked when it was actually even 4.67. I thought it would have been a little lower than that even. But you said it. You're definitely going to see the records change. He's probably going to be more of a, 18 win starter, 17, 18 win starter this year, I would think.
Who's going to come up Monday afternoon or Monday night when we do our next show, because we're talking about the NL East. Just for a spoiler, and Jacob Degrom is right in the middle of the NL East. So.
Yeah, for sure. But my number 1,
I know it.
Yeah, it's got to be Garrett Cole right now. Which is interesting because he's actually never won a Cy Young in comparison to a couple of the big names on this list, but he's consistently one of the best pitchers in the league. By the way, he also played a couple of years with Pittsburgh, so a couple of down years there. But the past 3 years, he's finished 5th, 2nd, and 4th in the Cy Young Awards, including 2019 for Houston when he threw 326 strikeouts, which is absolutely insane number, and a 2.5 ERA. Well, only behind Justin Verlander was the reason why he didn't get the Cy Young.
Of course, right?
An amazing year he had, but you see the stats all over here. 27-8, the most wins. 27-8. That's amazing. Including 20-5 in 2019. He's always out there, doesn't get injured. 45 games started. 40 of 45 are quality starts. So if you get more than 4, if you score 4 runs, you're throwing your hats in the air, because that does not happen very often against Garrett Cole. The highest K per 9 percentage, a very low whip, and teams win games. So when Garrett Cole goes out there, you have a chance. And that's something you want out of a pitcher who, in our situation, you want to go out there knowing that they're going to shut the other team down and give you a chance. And that is someone like Garrett Cole for the New York Yankees, 29-year-old.
And that's why the Yankees went and got him. That's why they shut out that money. And there was talk back then about Strasberg or, something else to maybe happen. But no, they were getting Garrett Cole. And Garrett Cole grew up as a lifelong Yankee fan, and he's wearing pinstripes now.
So, Joe, real quickly, do you want to run through your list?
Yep. Number 8, the Philadelphia Phillies, Aaron Nola. Number 7, Milwaukee Brewers, Brandon Woodruff. Number 6, the Colorado Rockies, Herman Marquez. Number 5, the Cincinnati Reds, Luis Castillo. Number 4, the LA Dodgers, newly acquired Trevor Bauer. Number 3, the Cleveland Indians ace, Shane Bieber. Number 2, the New York Yankees ace, Garrett Cole. And number 1, the Mets, Jacob Degrom.
And I went with honorable mention was Lucas Giolito for the White Sox. Another honorable mention was Clayton Kershaw for the LA Dodgers. Number 5, Shane Bieber for the Cleveland Indians. Number 4, Max Scherzer for the Washington Nationals. Number 3, Justin Verlander for the Houston Astros. Number 2, Jacob Degrom for the New York Mets. And number 1, Garrett Cole for the New York Yankees. Joe, any names on here real quick that neither of us said, but kind of jump out as someone who you may see a uptick with?
Yeah, one definitely is Zach Greinke. I know he's at 35, but some of the numbers he put up there. I also looked at Hyun-Jin Ryu. He's another one that has a really good home run to 9 in ERA. And I always like Kyle Hendricks. I don't think he has the numbers that we're talking about today, but he's got some pretty good ones. So, but I think Greinke and Ryu are two guys that I would say. And I know there's a couple guys I left you in case you wanted to, talk about a few others.
I will say Greinke also had, I was gonna put this on, but I wasn't sure how relevant it was. He has, I believe, 5 or 6 Gold Gloves.
He hits the ball too.
He is a great all-around player, is Zach Greinke. So yeah, who else wasn't said on here? Steven Strasberg, that's an interesting one. Obviously, he didn't play for all of last year.
Right.
Another guy who, when he has it, he has it. So
Bueller maybe too.
Bueller, neither of us was on our list. He's someone who, let me see a little more of it, and he'll probably make his way on the list. And then I will say Yu Darvish. Neither one of us had Yu Darvish, but he had an amazing year last year. That's without saying. But
now pressure's on though a little bit.
Yeah,
with a new team and a winner.
Let's see it again. You're in a tough division. You're playing the Dodgers, who is a strong lineup.
Every other night.
The Giants are actually a very good lineup in themselves. One of the best hitting teams last year, and then Coors Field. You're going to have to go pitch at Coors Field as well.
It's easy.
So we'll see it out of Yu Darvish. But so that was our list for top 5. I'm going to unshare here. Top 5 current starting pitchers in Major League Baseball. As I mentioned, we will be going around the diamond. So we're going to be doing a lot of baseball coming up, Joe. So for those that don't enjoy baseball, I'm sorry to say, but
it's not the show
maybe
for
throw
you
in
right
a
now.
question about another sport, and we'll answer it on the show for you. But next week will be the NL East preview with Joe's brother Mike will be joining us. And then I believe it will be the top on the end of the week. The half episode will be the top 5 catchers currently in Major League Baseball. So we have the calendar ready. We have a lot going on, Joe. Final thoughts.
I'm just excited. I can't stop being excited about, like I said, I've always followed baseball, whether I played it or I watched it, I coached it, and I announced for it, and I still love to talk about it and just get so excited for the month of February for no other reason than seeing spring being very close to us. So I am ecstatic, and people might have to comment about how energetic I'm going to be through these shows, because the passion's going to start on Monday Monday night when we start talking about the NL East, because it's not just that I'm a Phillies fan, but I know a lot about the Braves and the Mets. So I know those teams are really good, and I'm not going to sit there and blow smoke about how good those teams are both really are. So, and my brother is excited to come on for the third time. So we're happy to have him again. And, just talking baseball, it just makes me happy. I just love it. So I hope the fans are going to too. I hope our audience is going to too, because I think we do a good job with it, and I think we'll continue to do it justice. So.
Yeah, and so you will see a couple familiar faces. You're going to see one new face, and then you're going to be just seeing our faces for a couple of them. So, but so just so everyone knows, again, we are on YouTube. Please feel free to go find us on YouTube and subscribe, so you'll be able to see when all of our new videos come up. All of our accounts are Timeout with Derek and Joe in some capacity, so you just look and you'll find us. All podcast platforms. If you just want to listen, you don't want us, you're not able to look at us on YouTube and watch on YouTube, you can just listen, whether it be in your car, whether it be at the gym, on all podcast platforms, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts. We're on all of them. And then don't forget about Twitter. If you have a Twitter, you can follow us there. We're starting to ramp up a little bit on Twitter. That's where you'll see immediate reactions to things if you want to follow us there. And then, of course, we're on the Facebook page, Time Out with Derek and Joe. And feel free to ask us any questions or anything over the Timeout page or over email. I always forget about email too. Timeout, Derek and Joe at gmail.com. As always, everyone, thank you very much for taking time out of your day to spend some time with us. Stay safe and take care.